Hey everybody, welcome to another entry in the Hyrule Compendium, a series where we go through various topics in Zelda and touch upon them. Alright, we're doing our final Divine Beast, Va Rudania.
Our final Va.
A final Va, which the name was probably the hardest one to actually come across.
What's it called again?
Va Rudania.
So, as I've mentioned before, I call it Va Goron.
Va Goron. Because the other ones, I guess they kind of...
Well, Rudania is Darunia.
Rudania, Darunia.
They switched D and R's around.
Okay. Anyway.
The Goron one.
The Goron one. So, what did you think of the area, Death Mountain?
So this was one of the first parts in the game where I seem to struggle to get to a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So after I did the Zora area first, as you did as well.
Yeah.
And then did you go straight from Zora to Goron, or did you?
I did, yeah, because it seemed like, oh, it's just right there.
Right. So I did the same thing. So you get to that stable, and they're like, "Oh, it's hot up there, so be sure you get these elixirs."
Mm-hmm.
And so I got those elixirs, and the first thing I tried doing was getting to I think it was the Farron or the Eldin Tower.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some trouble getting there. I don't know, like maybe like in my first playthrough, I was going along the course was out of along the main path was out of the question because there was a guardian that was patrolling that whole thing, and at that point in the game, there was no chance I was killing that guardian. I tried sneaking by him, wasn't happening. So I was just like going through mountains trying to get there, and I never upgraded my stamina at this point.
Right.
I just had trouble. It took me a long time to get to the tower.
Mm-hmm.
But then on my way to I like the path going to Goron City though. I like how it progressively gets hotter. So you need one level of heat resistance, and then as you get closer, you need a second level, or as you get to like I think the North Mine, you need a second level of heat resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So it requires you to, do, like I don't know how you got the heat resistance, but the way I did it was I had the elixir, and there was a side quest where a guy was looking for I think like the fire tail lizards or something it was.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay.
But I've since found out there's multiple different ways you could have done this.
Yeah, I think I just talked to someone, or...
Did you buy the armor at the Goron?
I did do that, yeah.
Okay, you did that. So I never went to that armor shop, ever, in my entire first playthrough. I never had I beat the whole Goron area without buying any Goron armor.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I shouldn't say that, because that side quest gave me one of the pieces of the Goron armor.
Oh, okay.
But it was only 1 degree of resistance.
Okay. There's an area like that in the Zora area too, where you could buy the Zora armor. There's a side quest, I believe, that gets you it.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, each shop in all the like towns, usually has something pretty useful to that area.
To that region, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about when you meet the Elder and they send you on the little side quest to rescue the dude, the little Goron, young Goron, who helps you get to the Divine Beast?
I like. First of all, I like that. I forgot the Elder's name, but like how his like back kept cracking.
Oh yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I was just about to go do that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a grumpy old man. Just.
You had to get him his medicine, or yeah.
Yeah, did they mention like he had like arthritis or something?
Yeah, he had something like that.
Something that was like human that happens in everyday world or something like. Like go get me some Tylenol or something.
This Goron was apparently his stony body was afflicted by it too.
Yeah,
that's pretty great.
So that guy was kind of cool. And then when I got to the Northern Mine, that's when I realized I needed that second degree of heat resistance. So I had to use an elixir, and I needed that one piece of Goron armor. So at this point, almost everywhere I went in the Goron region, I always needed to use this was the number one time I ever used elixirs. I swear that woman at the stable who is selling me those elixirs, I think she got like over 1,500 rupees from me.
Yep.
Because I think they were like 150 a piece or whatever it was. I think I bought like maybe a dozen elixirs from her just for this whole region.
That's ridiculous.
I did like the northern mine though, with the things that were like, they were like the cannons, and you had to move, and you shoot, and you'd kill the Lizawful bases with them. That whole area was, I think, kind of cool.
Yeah, and that in combination with I think the lead up to where you're sneaking by the Guardians.
Oh, the area right before the beast.
I think both those made that part a pretty memorable experience.
Yeah.
Compared to, the Rito area where you just do a little target practice.
Right. This one wasn't, I wouldn't say, it didn't feel like a boss like the other ones did.
Yeah, I guess they kind of just combined the two elements, and
that was good. I liked it. I felt it was, I think of the lead up to the 4 dungeons basically. 3 of them were identical in that you just fight the beast in a way, the divine beast.
Yeah.
And then you enter the dungeon. This one was more of a puzzle, navigation, adventure. It wasn't just a boss battle.
Yeah, it was like a little bit stealth, a little bit puzzle,
and some combat too, because you have to fight some moblins in close corridors.
Yeah, so that's cool that it wasn't just like the Yiga section is just like purely just sneaking and stuff like that. You could fight if you got caught, but
right. Well, I would actually like, you know how we mentioned each of the areas have like an area before the dungeon. So like, you have to go fight the Lionel. You have to go,
right.
You have to go to the Yiga. I actually view going to the northern mine as was this version's like area before the dungeon.
Oh, okay.
And I view the path to the dungeon as the boss.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I,
Yeah,
it still had the same formula, but it was just different. And different is good. I like different. I wish all 4 of them were totally different, actually.
Yeah, because the other 3, you just literally have a boss battle with the...
Right.
I guess this one you're shooting it, right? But
yeah,
it still didn't feel like a boss fight.
So this is another case of I struggled a little bit with some of these. I didn't run through it right away. Some of the puzzles of trying to get by the sentries, is that what they were called? The
Guardian sentries, or
yeah. I don't know, were these Guardian ones? Well, anyway, yeah, trying to get by them was so I ran out of elixirs. So I didn't have enough elixirs. So I got to the very end and I had to leave because I didn't have enough. I only had the 1 Goron armor, so it got way too hot. So I left and I came back and had to do it all over again.
Wow.
It was disappointing, but
that's ridiculous.
What do you think of the Goron? I forgot his name. The
started with a Y, right?
He was so like excited but scared.
Yeah, he had a funny voice acting too. Kind of liked it. Someone said he reminded them of like a Ninja Turtle or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I totally agree with that. If he put a bandana on, like,
I'd like to see. Yeah, I'd like to see more of his character. You don't really get too much, but
I actually think you get more of him than most people.
Yeah,
because you see him in the mine and he's like all worried. Oh, I got trapped in here. What's the boss gonna say?
Right.
And then he's like, they made it sound like he's the guy that we need him to fight this guy. And then he's like a scaredy cat.
He's like a dweeb.
Yeah. And then he's like you freeze him and he goes like, he like stops moving. And you have to whistle.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was
that
just fun, entertaining to like watch in those parts, like his motions and stuff like that. Yeah.
He makes some sort of snide remark, but that's like, you're whistling and I'm coming over. It's like, that's like calling me a horse or something like that.
Really?
Does he say something like that?
I don't remember that.
But the irony is that you whistled to call over your horse. So
yeah.
It's like this, yeah.
That's pretty great.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah. He is a cool guy. So this dungeon, what were your thoughts on the mechanic of this one, controlling this divine beast?
Let me start by saying, anytime you were in the outdoor areas of this area, it was super hot.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to use elixirs. So I had to leave this.
You had to
leave the dungeon.
You could have saved so much time by just going into that shop.
I didn't know it existed. So I thought you just needed elixirs. Anyway, the first part when it was dark was weird. Like that whole first.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But once I thought this one was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little more complicated than like the Rito dungeon. That was the easiest one to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And the Zora dungeon was very easy to understand too. This one I felt was a little more complicated, but still I got it. It wasn't as bad as like the Van Naboris.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't too simple.
This is one where, so you just tilted the dungeon 90 degrees and you tilted it back. I was able to foresee the solutions of the puzzle, not just trial and error and figure it out. Like, so like in particular, there was the one puzzle where, you have to get like an orb, and you have to go down like a chute, down like the staircase.
Oh yeah.
You have to lift the door. I like that it had like 3-4 stages, just to that puzzle. 3-4 like steps.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was able to foresee the solution, but I didn't see the starting point yet.
Yeah.
So I was following the puzzle going backwards, but while the dungeon was, so it was like, all right, I liked it. I thought it was all right.
So that puzzle specifically, or just kind of overall?
Well, that one is the one that stands out to me.
Right. Okay.
There was one puzzle that you could do this one. You could do this as the first terminal. It's on the main floor. You have to look through the keyhole and you see a flame.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that right away, and the initial thing I did was I pulled out a fire arrow, shot it, and nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until later that I found out that you can't shoot it with a fire arrow, but you need the blue fire arrow. The blue.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand the difference between blue fire and red fire. I know blue is hotter, but so I had to dip my arrow into the blue fire and then shoot it. So I was on that puzzle for a very long time, and I couldn't figure it out because I tried what ended up being the solution. I tried it, but with the wrong arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was able to, that eventually leads, you have to burn some vines and a big metal block comes, and you use that metal block to get by the fire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, but I was able to burn the metal block, or to burn the vines and get the metal block with magnesis while still in the main room, because you can shoot through the narrow holes. So I'm like moving the metal block with magnesis behind the wall that I can't see, thinking I'm gonna trigger a floor switch.
That's ridiculous.
It was a disaster.
I didn't have a hard time with that one. I think because when I noticed it, I had just done something with the blue fire, maybe. And
okay.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna shoot this with the fire. And my first thought was just to light my arrow on fire. Mostly because I was like, I won't use a fire arrow. So if I had done it maybe a different way, which I don't know if I could have, maybe I would have had that trouble. But
yeah,
I guess that just depends on your perception, how you saw it at the time. But how about Fireblight?
Since we've already talked about the other 3 blights at this point, and we did a whole video on the bosses, like, I don't know what else there is to say. Like, he was not. I've said everything I've had to say, basically. Not distinctive enough. He was not memorable, I don't feel.
He did some fire stuff, right?
His only attack I can think of was he sucked in all the air, and you have to throw a bomb, and he sucks in the bomb, make it explode. Old school.
Yeah, it's a very Dodongo.
Yeah,
of him.
It's very Dodongo of him.
Yeah, I kind of feel similarly. Wasn't nearly as fun as the Water Blight, and wasn't nearly as challenging as Thunder Blight, and wasn't as easy as Wind Blight. So
he was just right.
Yeah, he was just Blight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what else to say, but how about our pal Daruk?
Now, I liked his character. I liked his voice acting. He was each of the characters kind of had their own personalities, as we've sort of touched upon. And his was like a warrior personality, like we're gonna like a powerful, like a strength character, which represents the Gorons very well, I think.
Yeah.
Brute force,
Well, kind of, but they also have him more as a protector. Like he uses that,
which is
compared to like Urbosa, who is more like attack.
Right.
He's more like his scene afterwards is he's wondering how the Gorons have fared, and he sees Ninja Turtle Goron, and he's happy. He's like, awesome,
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. That I think it goes along with what we know about the Gorons. So they're very close. They give each other those big Goron hugs and all that stuff. I was actually thinking, like, who do you think, now that we've gone over them all, had that best like post dungeon scene? We had Mipha kind of thinking about Link and wanting to help him. We had Daruk hoping for the Gorons to be okay. We had Urbosa. She was kind of talking. I think she was talking about annihilating Ganon or something.
Well, they're all like Urbosa and Daruk in particular were like, we're gonna crush him. We're gonna kill him.
We're gonna rip him to pieces.
Yeah, like you're not getting that out of Mipha. Like,
and then Rivali was just. I think he was like
the comic relief a little bit.
Link here is an okay guy, I guess. So I guess what was your favorite out of all those?
I think I like Rivali.
Yeah,
I think he kind of like he comes around a little bit, like
Yeah,
there's so much resistance.
That's cool. I actually liked how Daruk. It was kind of heartwarming to see him waving to the other Goron. Yeah. And overall, how do you think we've talked about how these areas rank? Where does this rank for you in both quality and maybe difficulty?
I think we talked about the wind being by far the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be the next easiest, or this one or the Zora ones are interchangeable. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think the easiest and hardest are clearly defined. The other two, it doesn't. They're
Daruk's protection is also pretty useful.
Right. Yeah. When you use it.
Yes. I was trying to devise like what order to go in. Which is the ideal order. Probably the Rito.
Oh, no. Yeah. Rito first.
And then I think you can't go wrong with going to either.
This is one of those cases where I don't think. Let us know, but I don't think anybody did Goron before Zora.
Yeah.
Just because of the path, like you'd have to kind of go out of your way, because on your way to Goron, the Zora's gonna be like, "Hey, go this way."
That's how I like. I mean, people end up going wherever, but I can't see how you end up in the Rito area first either.
Right, but well, if you go north to Central Hyrule, then it's kind of a crapshoot. Like you can go anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
I could see Zora, Rito, Zora, Rito, Gerudo, in any order.
Mm-hmm.
But Goron is definitely after Zora. Anyway, yeah.
Well,
Goron's cool.
Yeah, let us know the order you did the Divine Beasts. We've been asking that. What you thought of this one. And let us know what else you'd like us to cover. And thanks for watching.